Vanakkam Dohadeva and everyone. Good to be with you live again. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadi Tamastu Ma Vishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And we'll share the screen here. There, we have a new logo. Nice to honor our Zoom heritage here. That's the date in Asia, where we're broadcasting from, so it's the 21st still in North America. And our first topic, answering your questions, sent to satsang@hindu.org. And today we're answering a number of questions that have piled up. In fact, so many questions, it's our only topic. So we'll be answering questions for the entire Zoom satsang. First question here, how does one differentiate between ego, pride, or instinctive nature, or superconscious thoughts? Whether our thoughts, words, and actions are from an area of pride, ego, jealousy, etc., or pure superconsciousness. Very good question. How do we know the difference? If we have a thought, is it superconscious and something we should act upon, or is it coming from our ego, our jealousy, etc.? So a really good answer comes from the trilogy. And Gurdjieff himself asks the question, how does one distinguish between intuition and usual thought-feeling processes? And the answer, desires come through feeling, warmth of emotion, as do thought schemes, ways of manipulating the media forces for one's own personal benefit or that of a loved one. This is contrary to the power of intuition, which runs cold and is direct, like a bolt of lightning in the inner sky, or the subtle rainbow of an etheric aura, which bypasses the processes of current thinking, giving answers before the question and solving problems before they have accrued. It is only through sadhana and divesting oneself in order to perform sadhana from the social structure of the conglomerate of mortals that surround you that you will actually be able to prudently delineate between true intuition and the imposing factors of need and greed that often seem paramount when living up to the externalities of the instinctive nerve system. So that is an important key. We need to be doing sadhana on a regular basis. Can't expect intuition to manifest otherwise. And we need to be detached, at least at that moment, from the swirl of ideas from other people, from the social structure of the conglomerate of mortals that surround you. Okay, and then the answer keeps going. Here's a fine example of the use of intuition. You have often been in a situation in your own mind where you feel a subtle direct impulse from deep within you as to how you should proceed. Most probably you denied it as fantasy and commenced in a logical way to fulfill your impulses and desires from previous patterns of experience, only to find that you would have traversed agonies and confusions had you followed the subtle impulse of direction, which was rejected to enhance established patterns of procedure. We tend to do things the way we always have, established patterns of procedure. But I might add that that first impulse must have registered itself as cold and clear, direct and profound. Only if it did would it have indelibly imprinted itself within your memory patterns clear and sharp, thus distinguishing itself clearly from all warm emotional feelings that appear to be reasonable and totally in line with the current picture of the day. In current events, most people guard their lives on prior reasonable patterns. This knowledge is only prophetic. It has absolutely no relation to the other courses of action entered into by intuitive decision, which in turn would encase man's individual awareness into the strong, dynamic, superconscious being that he ever was, is now, and always will be. So we already are a dynamic, superconscious being. We just may not be in touch with that part of ourselves that has those qualities. So I think the answer there, Gurudeva said it about 3 or 4 times. The thought should not be emotional, warm, friendly. It needs to be kind of cold, detached, like the thought you get on top of a cold hill in the morning. It's not a warm, intuitive, it's not a warm, fuzzy, emotional. It's cold and intuitive. So that is how to tell the difference. Please elaborate on the following description, which appears in Lesson 25, titled "Nobody Understands Me in Merging with Shiva," requesting a few examples to obtain a better understanding. So this is the trilogy text. Everyone should understand you and about you. And if you feel there is someone close to you who does not understand you, that signifies that the part of yourself that this person represents does not understand what you think they do not understand. So that the part of yourself that this person represents does not understand what you think they do not understand. So they're just reflecting the part of you which is similar to them. Someone who is close to you does not understand your inner nature. You do not understand your inner subconscious yourself. Why? Because you have only intellectually grasped certain things. You have not fully realized these concepts. They, the friend, as a reflection of yourself, therefore, will not quite grasp your studies or your concepts. Soon as you understand yourself, by having purified yourself, you can explain your realization to your friends in a way they will understand. So, my answer. This situation would generally occur in the first few years of taking up spiritual practices, not after having done them for 10, 20, 30 years. The basic idea is that the aspirant has only grasped the concept on an intellectual level and not yet on an experiential level, but is sharing it as if he or she had actually experienced it. So that's why it occurs and when it is most likely to occur. And examples as requested. You are the soul nature and not the external intellectual and emotional nature. You share this idea, but others don't understand it because you have yet to experience it. So you know that it's true, but you haven't actually experienced your soul nature. So you're not able to convince someone else of the truth of the idea until you experience it. Second example is about the future. The concept is the future is created by the impressions you have put into the subconscious in the past, and those impressions we are placing there continually in the present. The future is the continuing summation of all our past actions and reactions, where there is only the moment in which we live. You share this with a friend as if you were totally committed to molding your best possible future by your current actions. However, you haven't actually put that into practice, and they sense that. So again, you know the theory, but you haven't fully absorbed it into practice. Therefore, you can't convince your close friends and family of the idea until you absorb it into practice. And then they understand somehow. Oh, I see. From the Shum perspective, in which area of the mind, dimension, do we have to be in to concentrate and isolate the seed of desire? That's simple. Okay, he doesn't want to move forward. Huh? Here we go. Answer, the fourth dimension. It is in the fourth dimension that intuition starts to be accessible. Then we get the Shum definition of the fourth dimension. Simvum Kami, numbers there for those who like numbers. 1. Fourth dimension, sub-superconscious mind. 2. Awareness cognizing the interrelated forces of the fifth, fourth, and third dimensions. So it even has the word cognize in its definition. 3. From this detachment, we gain the ability to dissolve confusions, conflicts, and the various and varied entanglements that are encountered daily. 4. The realm of artistic creativity. 5. Here is the resting place where we look in and up and out and down. 6. Consciousness should never go lower. So that's the goal. But when soaring higher, returns to this resting place, the fourth dimension. This dimension relates to the Kamshumalinga chakra, Rimche Nali. To experience the portraits within this dimension, look at the world from the chest area, which is where Rimche Nali is located. So it's using the fourth chakra of cognition to be in the fourth dimension. Next question. When we perceive elevated emotions that we associate with beauty in the physical world, which may range from calm, peace to joy or even awe, what are we really experiencing? Our physical eyes are seeing a flat image, so what actually causes our positive emotional response? Are we in a more quiet or more focused state, actually aware of the blissful energies of our soul body when we experience what we call beauty? Answer. Yes, that is exactly the point. We're experiencing something that uplifts us. So we've ended up in a state of uplifted consciousness through an external catalyst. So the goal of meditation is to be able to move into that uplifted consciousness without needing an external stimulus. But it's an important part of life. I'm not sure if this story comes up later on. If it does, we'll skip it, but it's a good story. Chatting with a young man in Malaysia, probably around 28 or 30 at that point, finished his studies in London and involved in his career in finance, high finance, for a few years, and he admitted to me that he always thought doing what he was currently doing would make him happy. It was a concept he had his whole life, that he was going to do this, which is what his father did, and that's going to make him totally happy. And he said, you know, I'm surprised because it doesn't. So it didn't catalyze him to move into a state of uplifted consciousness as he thought it would. And he wasn't a religious person, so I gave him advice to do something a couple times a week which really inspires you. So to find the external catalysts which move your awareness into an uplifted state of consciousness, and do that every week. It's very important for someone who doesn't find uplifted consciousness through spiritual and religious practices, that they have a way of finding it some other way. Music, lots of people love music, gardening, walking in nature, sports, some activity. One or more activities generally move their awareness into an uplifted state. So we want to do that every week through religious and spiritual practices or through other practices. Otherwise, we don't end up a very happy person. Very interesting question. Why should negative karmic life not change after Satguru enters a devotee's life? Answer is a little bit indirect. Our karma is constantly changing. It is impossible for it not to be changing. Karmas from the past are manifesting in our life, and how we respond to those karmas, for example, with acceptance versus resentment, changes our karma. If we accept the karma from the past, our karma changes one way. If we resent the karma from the past, it changes another way. So our daily actions impact our karma. Going to the temple and absorbing the blessings of the deity changes our karma. Daily sadhana changes our karma, and so does the grace of a Satguru. However, all these changes are small. Imagine as a barrel of muddy water, all that has been mentioned is like pouring clean water into the barrel. The goal is to purify the water in the barrel. Clearly, it is going to take a long time. In other words, changes are made slowly to our negative karma, so slowly that we may not see it. Okay, here's the slide for that story. I told you it's in the wrong place. Next question. Mankind seems very preoccupied by fear of judgment, what others think, and its counterpart, fear of rejection by a person, group, etc. It seems to color so many of our actions, non-actions, emotions. It seems to hold us back from living to our best potential. Can you suggest practical suggestions, tools, which can be used to overcome this? Okay. There we go. Slide caught up with the text. I think we need to distinguish between two types of fear of judgment and rejection. The first one is a major consequence, such as getting fired from your employment for being too different than the norm. So clearly that needs to be avoided. Second is simply feeling an unspoken distancing by others because of what you have done. So we don't want to do the first kind. As to the second kind, I think you need to judge what you do on the basis of it being true to your beliefs. If it is true, then it is worthwhile to experience some distancing by others. They may come around to accepting what you did because it's based upon solid beliefs, and even end up taking up the action themselves. So being vegetarian among groups that belittle vegetarianism would be an example. That they find out you're vegetarian, you explain why, that some of them may eventually become vegetarian because of your beliefs and your strength of those beliefs. Okay, this is a great question. Given that this world is a place where young souls as well as old souls have taken birth to evolve, I sometimes wonder what difference it makes to pray for world peace, since young souls often create difficult karma, while more mature souls who do create karma but more naturally follow dharma are probably the ones praying for world peace. Does praying for world peace really help the world be a more peaceful place overall? And if so, what is a good prayer or visualization for us to practice? So my answer, every individual can help increase world peace within his or her sphere of influence. Said another way, every interpersonal interaction you have is an opportunity to advance world peace. Or you may not have thought about that. So this is taking the answer, it's giving an answer which is slightly different than the question, which is focusing on visualization, saying, let's not focus on visualization, let's focus on each of our interpersonal interactions. That is something that actually impacts other people and can help increase the amount of peace in the world. So we have a publisher's desk. It's on a slightly different subject, but still it gives the answer. It's talking about different forms of interacting with people. Be a spiritual leader. Subtitle, uplift the spirit of everyone you meet by expressing kindness, gratitude, appreciation, and encouragement. July 2011. This publisher's desk presents my thoughts on the difference between the nature of a spiritual leader and the nature of a religious leader. So you can see it's a slightly different topic, but it still answers the question. From August 28 through 31 of the year 2000, there was an historic meeting in New York City. 2,000 of the world's preeminent religious and spiritual leaders representing the many faith traditions gathered at the United Nations for a Millennium World Peace Summit of religious and spiritual leaders to pledge themselves to work for peace. They met in the General Assembly Hall. It was an historical first. Gurudeva was instrumental in getting a strong Hindu presence at the event and was among the Hindu delegates. That's the late Sambhamurti Shivacharya, Chennai. When we met him, he was head of the 10 Archaka Sangam, South Indian Priest Association. Those are his sons with him. Speaking at one gathering into the press, he delivered the message, for world peace, stop the war in the home. The talk was also published as his publisher's desk column in the November-December 2000 issue. When we were bi-monthly. Now we're quarterly. So we're not developing that topic, developing the other topic in here. That in itself would be an answer. If we can stop the war in the home, we'll increase world peace. How do we stop the war in the home? Then you would go through what can be done to do that. So there's multiple answers to how we can increase world peace. When asked by the United Nations leaders how humanity might better resolve the conflicts, hostilities, and violent happenings that plague every nation, I answered that we must work at the source and cause, not with the symptoms. That is what we do in an Ayurvedic medicine. Focus on the cause is on establishing the body's natural balance and health. That way, we are not always working with illness and disease. We are spending time and resources instead to establish a healthy system that itself fights off sickness. To stop the wars in the world, our best long-term solution is to stop the war in the home. It is here that hatred begins, that animosities with those who are different from us are nurtured, that battered children learn to solve their problems with violence. That UN summit caused me to reflect on the difference between a religious leader and a spiritual leader. That would be a good question. In fact, let's ask that question. What do you think is the difference between a religious leader and a spiritual leader? Both were invited to this event. Conclusion I came to is that a religious leader is the leader of a recognized religion. The world has to recognize the religion that he is a leader of in order to be a religious leader. A spiritual leader is someone who is expert in uplifting the spirit of others. A spiritual person is someone who can uplift his own spiritual nature, but a spiritual leader is someone who uplifts the spirit of others. That's the idea of being a leader. Some religious leaders are also spiritual leaders, and some are not. Some spiritual leaders are also religious leaders, and some are not. Gurudeva was definitely both. In fact, he was an expert in uplifting the spirit of others, no matter what their religion or ethnicity. How did he accomplish this? By speaking encouraging words to individuals and groups alike. That's N.K. Murti there in India with Gurudeva. Very young group. You too can be a spiritual leader. It's not that hard. Simply make it a point to say something encouraging, complimentary, and high-minded to everyone you meet. Their day will be brighter because of it, and so will yours. Your words may be just what they need to escape a moody morning and discover a new energy for the day. Isn't that what spiritual leaders do? Change the energy, elevate the spirit, so people connect with their intuition and open themselves to the highest course of action for the day. So this is tying into our original idea. It's our interactions with others. Interpersonal interactions are how we can impact world peace. Oh, this is one specific way. Say something encouraging, complimentary, and high-minded to everyone you meet. And that will uplift their spirit, and therefore they will generate more peace around them. When encountering people you know, you can ask about some aspects of their life, such as their children on recent travel, show an interest in their well-being. Gurudeva was skilled at this form of empathy. As a result, he was an important source of upliftment and encouragement for many people on the Hawaiian island of Kauai from all walks of life. It's unusual, the breadth of society that looked up to Gurudeva as a spiritual leader. Meetings are excellent opportunities for encouraging others, not for dominating them with your ideas. Encouraging others. Listen attentively to each individual's ideas, and when they are good ideas, be sure to compliment them. If someone is trying hard or is a bit shy in presenting an idea, make a few encouraging remarks to help him or her feel more confident. Control yourself by not dominating every meeting with your ideas and presence. Another way to be a spiritual leader is to uplift others by expressing gratitude for their help, friendship, and presence in your life. Those who are full of gratitude lack nothing. They are filled with divine energy, complete with nothing to require for their further happiness, nothing to regret. Their spirit is whole, their life is rich beyond measure. So naturally they are the spiritual leaders to others who feel less than perfect in their lives. Gratitude may seem an ordinary thing, but it is the touchstone of spiritual maturity and shared humanity. Showering your gratitude on others teaches them of their own fullness. One of the first ways to do so is to greet everyone with a good morning, afternoon, or evening and a smile. Keeping your mood elevated lifts everyone around you. Being kindly reminds them to show others kindness. Be the opposite of a complainer. Unfortunately, it is an all too common way of our times that when something is done that is good, helpful, or loving, it is overlooked, treated as something expected. No acknowledgement is shown, no appreciation is expressed. But if a shortcoming is seen, everyone is swift to point it out, and often in an unkind manner. Let's look at some common examples of not being grateful or expressing appreciation. 1. The mother of 4 girls works hard every day to take care of her daughter's needs at home and at school. They take her efforts totally for granted, never help and never say, "Thanks, Mom." 2. A wife is faithfully attending to her husband's needs and supportive of his career. The husband is always busy and never bothers to acknowledge her constant care. 3. A husband works hard to financially support his family, even toiling weekends to earn extra income. The wife, thinking it is his duty, never expresses any gratitude for his tireless efforts, but even nags him. 4. A supervisor takes extra time with her staff to help improve their skills and advance their position, but they turn their backs and never express thanks for her leadership. End of examples. Gurudeva developed 2 sadhanas in this area, one for gratitude and one for appreciation. He advised fulfilling the sadhana of gratitude first, then the sadhana of appreciation. So Gurudeva used the words very precisely. Gratitude is what we feel inside, and that's done first. Appreciation is expressing that gratitude externally. Sadhana of gratitude is to take out paper and pen and list all the good that has come into your life during the past 5 years. As memory is stimulated, the list will grow. Gurudeva suggests that if you find yourself not able to even recall one good thing, write several times, "I am a spiritual being of light, maturing in the ocean of experience." This will stimulate a positive memory, which will soon be followed by more. Feelings of loving appreciation will begin to flow toward those who helped you in the good times. Feelings of acceptance and forgiveness will also well up for the bad times. This sadhana echoes the wisdom found in the Untitled Chapter on gratitude. It is improper to ever forget a kindness, but good to forget it once, an injury received. Very high-minded way of living. It is improper to ever forget a kindness, but good to forget it once, an injury received. Focusing on the good things in our life naturally leads to the sadhana of appreciation. This sadhana is to approach those to whom you are grateful and tell them, while looking deep into their eyes, how much you esteem and value them. Be specific, that is the key. Don't just say something general like, "You are wonderful." Rather, point out specific qualities so the person knows you really deeply feel what you are saying, that it is not just a surface compliment. Convince him or her that you are sincere by your kind words, smiling face, and even a small gift when appropriate. 2. Prepare yourself for the appreciation sadhana you can practice by standing before a mirror, looking into your eyes and say aloud, "I am grateful to you and appreciate your being in my life." You can then describe some of the many good actions you have done during the past 5 years. Once you feel comfortable appreciating yourself, you are ready to begin appreciating others. This exercise helps overcome any shyness you may feel. Special events are great times to express appreciation. Birthdays are perfect opportunities, as are Mother's Day, Father's Day, Grandparents' Day. In many nations, there is even a Boss's Day. So this was written in 2011. The next statement is dated. A few years ago, a number of our youth devotees in Malaysia held a surprise Mother's Day event. So that's probably 2007 or 2008. They wrote to me about it. After the normal satsang events, bhajans and meditation, we announced our surprise, got each Amma to come forward and stand in front, and each of her children put a huge garland on her, gave her a bookmark, a card, and a beautiful single rose package, all done by us, and prostrated to each Amma's feet, hugged her and wished her well on this day. We all said our thank yous. By now, most Ammas were already busy wiping away tears from their eyes. One of the obstacles to expressing appreciation is the fact that, unfortunately, often no one else is doing it. extra courage that is needed to be the first to do so. For men, the culture may say without saying that real men don't express appreciation. I remember one real man telling me that. That's not true, but still, for men, more courage is required. A less personal way to express appreciation is in a note accompanying a gift. A gift that you make yourself always conveys care and heartfelt sincerity. Gurudeva encouraged us to express appreciation to family members and friends, spiritual mentors, business associates, and community leaders as often as we can. Remember, when sharing your love with others, be specific, smile, and realize you are helping change the world for the better. Oh, we're changing the world. It's back to our topic, making the world have more peace within it. Those you uplift will learn from your example and later uplift others in their life. So that's the idea. We uplift a few people and they uplift a few people, and you can actually influence a lot of people over time. Gurudeva wrote, "We are essentially pure souls temporarily living in a physical body. We can and should use our God-given gift of free will encased in love to make a difference in the world today, even if it is in a small way. All of us making the same difference together do so in a big way. Shishyas should be grateful to their gurus, husbands to their wives, wives to their husbands, parents to their children, children to their parents, students to their teachers, and teachers to their students." Okay, and then we're turning to another related topic, but it's still giving us additional information on high-minded interpersonal interactions that can increase world peace. It's called A List of 6 Opportunities to Be of Service. And it's excerpted from another publisher's desk. There's another set of 6 challenges we face in life and how to handle them. This is the complementary idea of 6 opportunities to serve. Introduction from Gurudeva's Living with Shiva. Idea of spiritualizing daily life through service. Go out into the world this week and let your light shine through your kind thoughts, but let each thought manifest itself in a physical deed of doing something for someone else. Lift their burdens just a little bit, and unknowingly perhaps you may lift something that is burdening your mind. You erase and wipe clean the mirror of your own mind through helping another. We call this karma yoga, the deep practice of unwinding through service the selfish, self-centered, egotistical vasanas of the lower nature that have been generated for many, many lives and which bind the soul in darkness. Through service and kindness, you can unwind the subconscious mind, gain a clear understanding of all laws of life. Your soul will shine forth. You will be that peace. You will radiate that inner happiness and be truly secure simply by practicing being kind in thought, word, and deed. So that's a specific type of interpersonal interaction. Always being kind in thought, word, and deed. Makes you more peaceful. There are many opportunities to help others at home, work, school, in the neighborhood, and community. We have developed a list of 6 simple practices, so you could develop a lot more. This just gives a sense of a variety of types of practice. First one may surprise you. Seeing God in those we greet is the first opportunity to help others. Why is that important? When greeting someone, we strive to look deeply enough into them to see God, to see them as a divine being evolving through experience into oneness with God. Our attitude is then naturally helpful and benevolent. So when we look deeply enough to see God within someone, then we are more inclined to interact with them in a helpful and benevolent way. than if we just see them as ordinary personality. Volunteering is the second opportunity to help. That was Gurudeva's introduction there. There are many opportunities each day to step forward and offer to help in ways that are beyond what is required of us. An attitude of humble service diminishes the ego and strengthens our spiritual identity. One important spiritual attitude to hold is to be willing to help when called upon, to not resist or refuse, to be as open to helping others as you are in doing things for yourself. And we get the one we were talking about before, expressing appreciation, third opportunity to help others. We can uplift and encourage others by sincerely expressing how grateful we are for their help, friendship, and importance in our life. Omachi. Reaching out to newcomers is the fourth opportunity to help others. In our modern world, people move around a great deal, thus there is a steady flow of newcomers at work, at school, in our neighborhood, and at our temple. Stepping forward to welcome and help orient them to their new environment is an excellent way to be of service. Offering hospitality is a fifth opportunity to help others. Everyone can find creative ways to be hospitable in the home, at school, and even at work. Making encouraging and complimentary remarks is the sixth opportunity to help others. Making a point to say something encouraging and complimentary to everyone you meet. So that's what Gurudeva said earlier on. Their day will be brighter because of it, and so will yours. Well, that concludes the answer, kind of a long answer. But I thought it was good to include everything. So to summarize, pull together different existing resources to answer the question. And the question was, world peace. We have lots of young souls causing mischief, old souls generally not causing mischief, more likely to create peace. Is there an effective visualization we can do to improve world peace, increase world peace? So my answers didn't answer the visualization. It said, well, rather than focusing on visualization, let's focus on interpersonal interactions within our own sphere of influence, meaning with family, friends, when we go shopping, neighbors. Within our own sphere of influence, every interpersonal interaction is an opportunity to increase world peace if we apply these various principles. We can uplift others, help them feel more peaceful. They in turn can do the same to others. And we can be effective within our sphere of influence. In other words, unless we're the leader of some huge group, prime minister, president of a country, the Pope, unless we're the leader of a huge group, we can't influence that many people. But that's okay. We influence the people we can, and we make the portion of the world that we interact with a more peaceful place, and then that will actually radiate out in various ways. So this is a one answer, a single answer to the question. Visualization is also useful, and there's other topics as well. I think I'll try and work in a few for next Zoom satsang, so we can look at how can we increase world peace through a few other views besides interpersonal interaction of a high-minded nature. Thank you very much.